Hello, everybody.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
We got a good-sized crowd here. This is fantastic. I'm going to give just another minute or so. I don't want to start this too late, but I do want to give just another minute or so because we've got 71 people signed up, but I noticed that there were like 90 signed up on the council website. So we should possibly be getting a few more rolling in here. So I'll give them just another moment or so to get logged in. All right. So, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Brian Murray. I'm the camp director at Rotary Scout Reservation. And I guess maybe just a couple of things to put out there to make sure everybody kind of understands what our goal is for tonight. My purpose tonight, our goal here tonight is to talk about the Scouts BSA resident camp that's going to be happening at Rotary this summer. So I'm not going to be talking about the Cub Scout program. That we'll do some stuff with that as more information becomes available regarding the Cub Scout program, but we will be hosting both a day camp for Cub Scouts in the third week of July, and also the resident camp for Cub Scouts the first week of August. So we will be hosting both of those programs at Rotary this summer. We're really excited about that. Also, Camp Waukpamity will be hosting weekend activities, including the ATVs and a few other kinds of things that they're working on. Frank and his team are working on some really cool stuff with that. So we're not going to be touching on that tonight, but that'll be something that Frank and his team is, as I said, they're working on that. And as more details come out about that program, the council will have more to offer on that. But basically my goal here tonight, I figure, a lot has changed in the last almost one full year since the world suddenly changed on all of us here. One thing that has certainly changed is Zoom. I spend a good portion of my days, I'm a teacher during the daytime. I spend a good portion of my days looking at the Brady Bunch screen of boxes there with, depending upon the class, they could be mostly just black squares. So I figure why not lean into that technology and take advantage of it to help bring everybody up to speed on where things are. My intention this spring, because this is going to be a very unusual spring, a very unusual lead up into camp, a very unusual season with the fact that we still have COVID with us and the fact that we still have changes that are going to be coming our way. My plan is to host one of these on a regular basis, probably a monthly basis, but that may get adjusted as events warrant. So if there's breaking news, anything like that we need to go over, then I will adjust accordingly and we'll do so. But my plan is about once a month, I will host one of these gatherings so that everybody can learn as we're learning what the newest updates are going to be as far as camp is concerned. All right, so I think with 77 people online, I'm going to dispense with round-robin introductions of everybody, and we'll just go forward with this. We are joined by some staff members that popped in there, so we've got a few other voices on here besides myself. But what I would like to do is to first share with you some slides, some information on where things are at right now, some of the things that I can share with you at the moment. And then I'm going to open it up to questions. And so I guess part of what my thought process is on this at this time is that I fully anticipate that there may be some questions that you have that I'm not yet able to answer. I will do the best that I can to answer all the questions that you have. If there's anything that I can't answer at this time, because we're still waiting information from other sources, we'll take note of those and get back to you and as soon as we can and share that information with the group as soon as it becomes available. But with that in mind here, we'll kind of get started with the official part of the formal part of our program here. And so the latest information is that just last week was kind of a big week for us. First off, Governor Cuomo announced that camps can plan to open this summer. That was a big deal for us last spring. There was a lot of uncertainty going throughout the spring season. We really didn't know what was happening there. Rihanna, do you mind if I make you a co-host so you can let folks in if folks are struggling in late?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
No problem.
There you are. Whoop, you just disappeared.
I don't know if talking will make it better, but
You almost did. I had you, and then you talked, and you moved to the top of the line. So I got you. I got you right here. I got you. You're good. I did have you. Sorry, folks. Okay, got it. We're all set. Moved up and down the participant list by talking. Anyway, so as I said, last week, Governor Cuomo announced that camps can plan to open this summer. That's great news for us. We're really excited about that. He did mention something about a testing protocol, but without giving any details. So obviously the devil is in the details on this one, and we're going to be waiting to see what information comes forward from the governor's office as well as the Department of Health. The governor's announcement, he did say that DOH would be rolling out some additional information for camps in the coming weeks. So that's something that we'll be eagerly anticipating. We also launched our new camp website last Friday. So that is now live and has lots of information that you may be interested in for camp. We've got all of our program areas are highlighted on there, the different merit badges that we offer. Registration information is all on there. We've got the chart of the units that are signed up for camp and where y'all are in terms of weeks and sites and all that based on the requests that you had turned in to us. We posted a couple of videos to the website, including a kind of a hype video to get kids excited about camp, as well as an informational video that particularly if you're new to Rotary, walks you through some of the things, some of the programs and some of the basic elements of the Rotary summer camp experience. That video is on our website as well. And both of them are also on our YouTube channel, which we're starting to take a little bit better advantage of this spring. And so you can check us out there, and I'd encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can see our updates as they're coming through. This video, by the way, this meeting is being recorded, and this will be posted to the YouTube channel. So anybody that missed it, or if you want to share it with any, parents or unit leaders, committee members that were not able to make it tonight, you can certainly direct them to our YouTube page, and they'll be able to watch this whole video. So as I said, the sort of the elephant in the room with camp operations, like everything else in the world right now, is COVID-19 and what we know versus what we don't know. There are certain things that we think we know, and we certainly know a lot more about this than we did at this time last year. There are still some things, though, that, as I said at the top, we just aren't sure yet where we're going to be come July, come August, and what kinds of requirements are going to be set out by the Department of Health or other agencies. So that's why some information might be a little later in arriving this year. We may be holding back some details just to make sure that we are meeting the requirements that we need to meet as far as our COVID protocols are concerned. We certainly are tapping into all of the different agencies that we work with to make sure that we have the best and most accurate information related to that and any other policies. That includes the New York State Department of Health, the BSA. Last spring, the BSA held regular, almost weekly webinars with camp leadership throughout the country on basically everything that was changing and what we needed to know as far as operating scout camps in a COVID environment. I fully anticipate that they will probably do something very similar to that this spring as well. So we'll be getting the latest details from BSA, as well as from the American Camping Association, which has done a really great job. They've represent camps throughout the entire country, many of which ran successfully last year. And so they were able to bring the best practices from those experiences and share those with the camps that are going to be in operation for this year. As I sit here in February, trying to look in my crystal ball at where things will stand come July, a couple of things that we anticipate likely will be a little bit different from the experience that you may have had at camp in the past. One is going to be food service. We know that we're not going to be using a buffet style service as we have done in the past at Rotary. We are right now looking at most likely using more of a cafeteria style service, which if you're coming to us from Waukpamity, that's what you're actually used to. The difference being, the cafeteria service, somebody serves you, as opposed to the buffet where everybody goes down the line and grabs the same spoon as they're walking through. We're obviously not going to do that option, but we are right now looking at the likelihood of more of a cafeteria style service, pending additional guidance from the agencies that I just listed there that may possibly influence changes to that. I've already had a couple of units ask me questions about tenting arrangements, the idea of, what about scouts from two different households staying in a tent together overnight, and, what being able to maintain separation, 6 feet separation, that sort of thing. I'm anticipating that that may still be an issue for us this summer. What we are probably going to be looking at, and again, this is just tentative, this is me in February talking as far as where we think we're going to be, but what we think that probably going to be the most effective way around that is for units to bring some tents with them, backpacking tents or tents from your collections to set up in the campsites so that we can have more of that distribution of scouts under their own tents as needed. Of course, scouts from the same family can tent together, same household, but we may need to make that adjustment this year. The campsites can accommodate the numbers, the latrines, those kinds of things, but just in terms of people staying under the same canvas at night, that may be an accommodation that we need to make this year in order to ensure that we can get the scouts into the sites. I also do anticipate that we will still have some degree of social distancing and masking requirements that will be in place at camp. The kids have been getting used to that this year at school, so it's much less of a foreign concept to them than it might have been last year. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing, but it is something that is reliable as far as ensuring that people are safer. This wouldn't necessarily be in all circumstances at all times. Obviously, we've got the great outdoors as an asset that we don't have when we're inside a school environment. But certainly, I would think that when we're in more of classroom spaces in the program areas and in dining areas, things like that, that is probably a likelihood that we're going to be dealing with this year. As I said, all of this COVID protocol stuff was kind of where we're at right now in our anticipated planning, but we will be monitoring both progress and any other changes that are happening over the next few months to see what the best guidance is from the government agents and others. So with that, a little bit as far as our program is concerned, one thing that we're going to be offering new this year that is new to our Rotary units is there will be online merit badge registration. So this will be through the same platform that you use to sign kids up for camp. And so looking forward to that. The program schedule, I have not posted yet. I do anticipate that the merit badges, we've got them all laid out on the website. We've got the different programs that we're offering. I'm going to hold back the actual schedule for just a bit here until we see where we are again with some of these COVID developments. I want to make sure that, I want to look from a staffing perspective to make sure we're going to be able to cover everything that we want to commit to. The other thing is also, do we need to look at, let's say within a particular program area, the number of classes that are able to be operating in the space simultaneously, if there's any sort of COVID guidelines or recommendations with regard to that. I don't want to put out a schedule now that scouts immediately start to grab and start going through and figuring out their schedule and then have to disappoint them later by making adjustments to it. So I'll hold that back a little bit and then we'll put that out when we feel more confident that we're at a final draft for that. But you can see what we're planning to offer by visiting the camp website and seeing each of the program area pages. Also, our camp planning guide is up. That is on the website on both the resources page and the registration page. My plan is to also update that document as we get closer and closer. So I've called this one the winter edition. And as we add additional information, that will get updated and we'll push that out to the units that are signed up for camp. Staff, I want to put in a plug here for you guys. Some of you that have heard me on some roundtables and other events over the last month have heard me do this little pitch, but we are still looking for staff members to join us this summer. And one of the things that we lost by not having camp last year was that really powerful moment where a staff member kind of taps a scout on the shoulder and says, "You would make a really good staff member. You should really think about coming back next year." And they go up to the office and sign their name in my book so that we can get them an application during the off season. We didn't have the advantage of getting that contact this year. So that means that we're really relying on you as much as possible. If you've got scouts or even adults that are attached to your units that you think would make great staff members, please encourage them to sign up. Encourage them to register online for an interview. They can go right to the right to the camp website there. And there's an online registration link that they can fill out the application. For 15-year-olds, we're looking, for CITs, we're looking for 15-year-olds. And for staff, anywhere from 16 and up. And we do have positions available. Certainly, we're looking for new staff members that have worked at Wapamani and CITs that have worked at Wapamani before. One of the first things I did once we made the final decision as a council as to where we were headed this summer was to reach out to the Wapamani staff and invite them to please apply and join us at Rotary this summer. We really want to make one big team. out of everybody that's together. So, and I promise that that photo that you see there is not COVID appropriate. It was taken pre-COVID and will not be replicated this summer. But it does represent the heart of what being on staff is normally like, just not something we're going to do this year. Okay, so as far as the camp fee structure is concerned, want to point out that our camp fees have not increased since 2019. We've held them in place last year for the season that ultimately didn't happen. We've held them in place again. So for what would have been the third year in a row, our fees are $475 per scout with a late fee of $525. So if they don't meet the payment deadlines, then the fee would increase, but meet the payment deadlines and it's $475 per scout. There is a fee for extra leaders, and that is, so there's two things here. One is that each unit gets one free adult for every 8 youth, and that is a minimum of 2. So basically, up through 16 scouts, your unit is entitled to 2 free adults. Beyond 16, you get 1 additional free adult for every 8 that you get into, or every time you get into a new group of 8. And that's to meet the youth protection guidelines. Anything beyond that, so if you bring in extra leaders there, it's $100, but that's for the week. So if a leader is only going to be there, or an adult is going to only be there for a portion of the week, then we can make that prorated based off that time. Something new that the council added this year is a sibling discount. So this may be of appeal to some of your families. Essentially, the first sibling would be the full price, and then every additional sibling in the family thereafter is a $40 discount for that. So that's something new that we've added this year, and we hope that families are able to take advantage of that opportunity. And then, of course, we have our second week discount fee. So a scout that wants to come back for a second week and do provisional, maybe come back for STEM week, it's just $250 for that week. So you can see it's a real significant discount for that second week of camp. We like to say that, you guys probably can't feed a 14-year-old for $250 for a week. So it's a nice deal for you guys to send them out to us. Registration. So all of the payments for camp are going to be submitted through your camp accounts through our new council website and registration portal. So all of the units will be set up in that portal. You'll all have accounts that are in place, and you will go in and make your deposits and payments. It is different from last year, okay, and the year before. So it's a whole new website, it's a whole new back-end experience. So it will look and feel a little bit different to you. I don't know, is Mark on here? I know he registered. I wasn't sure if Mark Schweitzer is on the call. I didn't see him come in. I was going to say he could, nope, I don't see him on there. I was going to say he could share with us a little bit more about that if he wanted to. But basically it's a new platform, but it is something that is going to hopefully be very useful to you guys. It will be storing the names of and the entries for the youth and the units. So when you're signing up for events like summer camp, you'll just be able to pull them in and register for them without necessarily having to enter all the information each time around. So that should be a real advantage to you guys when signing people up for camp. So the timeline for registration is we look for the $100 deposit per scout by March 15th. Okay, there was briefly, when we launched the website, there was a brief typo on there. It said February 15th. We did thank you for those who let me know about that. It was a mistake. We corrected that. So it is March 15th is the $100 deposit per scout, and the balance of the fee is due May 1st. For any Webelos crossovers, we know you've got scouts that may be joining you late in the spring, new to the scouting program, or a Webelo crossover. Those scouts have until June 15th in order to submit their payments at the $475 rate without any additional penalties, because we know they're joining you late and possibly even after the deadlines have passed. We have updated our council updated our council cancellation policy. Typically, the policy for cancellation for summer camp is that we've had certain kind of qualified events that summer school, things like that, that scouts can withdraw from. And with that policy, the $100 deposit is kept in order to basically pay for those expenses that are incurred during the spring as we're ramping up to get ready for camp, but the balance would be refunded. What we are doing with COVID is you can assume, obviously, that if the situation is such that camp needs to close for any reason, then anybody that was registered for that program would get a full refund, as we did last year, right? Everybody would be entitled to that. But we did have questions, and certainly legitimate questions. Families maybe that are a little hesitant, maybe not so sure they want to commit at this time to making that payment. If they're afraid that they're going to, have to withdraw as a result of COVID-related reasons and lose things. So what we're doing with that is that if a family makes the decision to withdraw a scout up until 14 days before that scout is due to arrive at camp, so the start of their week of camp, they will be entitled to a full refund. And that gives you the peace of mind that throughout the spring, early summer, you can monitor what's going on. If there's any concerns, if the family has any hesitations, they can withdraw that scout and still get a full refund for that scout's payment, even if camp operates. If it's within 14 days, then we're going to basically use the normal protocol for the refund, which is that we are going to keep $100 and the rest of it can be refunded. The reason for that is by the time we get within 14 days, we've already bought food on behalf of the scout, we've bought program supplies, things like that. So we need to be able to make sure we can recoup those potential losses. But this, we believe, will give the families the flexibility they need, that they've got all the way until 14 days before camp to make that decision and be able to withdraw if necessary. I got so there's two questions. One about the CIT fee. The CIT fee is the same as 1 week of camp, so it's $475. So a scout that wants to participate as a counselor in training this year, they would apply, they get brought in for an interview, and we talk with them. And if they, end up, getting brought on as a CIT, which of course they would, if we bring them in, we give them an interview because it's nice job training and all that life skills stuff, but we'll bring them in. And then it's $475, but for that $475, they essentially get 2.5 weeks of camp guaranteed, because they come in the early part of our staff week training. They're not there from day one, but they come in early on in our staff week training, are there for the rest of staff week doing training alongside the staff, and then do 2 weeks of camp where they spend half the day working in program areas, learning and kind of learning under the guidance, the tutelage of the senior and experienced staff members. And then the other half of the day, they are completely free to go and be scouts, go and earn merit badges, go work on, BSA Guard or COPE or anything like that. They have that complete freedom. So over those 2 weeks, they're getting a full camper week of camp for that $475, and then the training is basically a tack on top of all the rest of that. And then if the experience goes well, and we invite the scouts to come back in for to continue on as an intern with us for latter part of the summer, that is an unpaid position, but it does, but there's also no additional fee. So a scout could theoretically be at camp for the entire season, earning merit badges all summer long, because they still get work half day and then do scout stuff the other half of the day, even as an intern. They could get all that for the cost of 1 week of camp. So it's a really outstanding deal. Questions, other questions in there. How do we handle those that left their deposit from last year? That was addressed with the council registrar in the fall. And they reached out to all units. Ed, if you want to reach out to me, we can kind of see where you guys are at with the unit. But basically, with a few exceptions of units that Sandy was not able to make contact with, everybody else already either received a full refund of their fees from last year that had been submitted, or the units told her to roll it over into this year's camp. So if any money that was rolled over into this year's camp experience, that was just rolled over. Whatever was there according to your directions was rolled over. So that would be on the unit level to make any determinations as to whether that money was individually, which families had paid, and, to sort that information out, because that wouldn't be information that the council would have at this point. If a camper ends up within a quarantine, if the camper themselves ends up in a quarantine, then we will look at that as part of the COVID. We're going to be flexible with you on COVID related issues. If we need to make adjustments to the policy that I just made because this camper himself is in quarantine, then we would look at that. The loyalty fee. So one of the things that we did going into this is to one of the things that we did actually even before the start of the season is the council made the decision to move away from the loyalty unit program, simply because, well, first of all, almost all of our units were in the loyalty program. There were like 1 or 2 troops per season that was not part of the loyalty program. And so therefore, it didn't really make a lot of sense to continue to do this. We essentially, everybody is getting the loyalty program discount because the loyalty program was, we give you last year's fee. Well, we're giving you not only last year's fee, we're giving you the year before's fee. So the benefits of the loyalty program are still there without having to enter in any discount codes when you're registering, without the online system having to track multiple different ways of calculating fees and all that sort of stuff. So basically, everybody's got the loyalty fee this year is essentially what it means. And then we'll go from there in the future. And then as for the question about Zoom meetings in the future, can we get the link to click on instead of going through the sign-in process? I don't know if you're talking about the registration through the website. I did email out the link to the unit contacts that I have on the list. We did the registration through the council website for those that were not on my unit contact list but would like to join our meeting here, just because I want people, for Zoom bombing related reasons, we don't want to put a live link out on Facebook or public facing tools. We want people to actually register for it so that they have to go in and get the link and then come in. But anybody that's on my unit contact list, I emailed out the link to you guys the other day to click right into it. And from there, feel free to forward it to anybody in your units that you'd like to. Camperships. The camperships will be available again this season. Those are the assistance for families that may be in need for that. We understand that that's probably going to be especially acute this year. The information on camperships should be out within the next couple of days. We're just finalizing some stuff related to the form, but I would expect to see that this week. So that'll get distributed out. That'll be posted on council and camp websites. We'll put that up on Facebook. We'll email that out to all the unit contacts on my mailing list. So that will certainly go out far and wide once we finalize those last details. I wanted to, because I know it's been a couple of years since we've had camp, and some of you may be doing this for the first time. So I just wanted to kind of put a little bit of a bug in your ear for a couple of things that you should be planning ahead on. One is medical forms, right? Especially with this last year, people maybe not wanting to go to doctors and such right now. They may have lapsed, they might have missed a year in their medical forms. Now's the time, as we still have a few months to go before the start of camp, to remind families that they need to have medical forms. Even last year, in the midst of the chaos of everything that was going on with a relatively new COVID environment, BSA was not waiving the medical form requirement for the camps that did open in other parts of the country. So that means that in terms of the requirements for that, all scouts must have the full medical form signed by the doctor, the parts A, B, and C. All adults that are staying 72 hours or more must also have all 3 parts, the A, B, and C, including the doctor's signature. If an adult is staying less than 72 hours, then they do not need the part C, the doctor's portion of the form, but we do still ask them to bring us the part A and B, which they can fill out completely on their own. The doctor doesn't need to fill that out. This is basically the contact information and the health history information. That way, if an adult leader has a medical issue while they're at camp, even if they're only planning on being there for 24 hours and they have some sort of a medical concern, we have the documentation that we can pull out to find contact information and to be able to assist them with that. So 72 hours is the magic number there for that, as well as the next portion of the requirements. All adults, and I want to be very clear when I say adults, because I've come across this in the past that sometimes we use the term leader, and a lot of the parents are like, that's that guy, right? He's the guy over there with the fancy patch on his uniform. He's the leader. I'm just a parent. All adults, whether you're a registered adult leader or not, these requirements apply to anyone over the age of 18. So for adults that are coming to camp, all adults that are going to be basically accompanying the troop to camp are required to have current youth protection, and they're required to be cleared through the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services background check. Now, for the DCGS background check, there isn't much that you need to do about that. What I'm going to do is in May, I think will be when this will go out. In May, I'm going to send a Google form out to all of the unit contacts. And I'm going to ask you to make sure that any adult that is possibly going to spend time at camp accompanying the troop. Now, this doesn't mean a pop-in visit, which I'll get to visits in a second here, but like, you know, somebody's coming in for an hour to visit or comes in on a family night or dropping off sneakers or something like that. That person doesn't need to meet these requirements, right? They're just doing a quick visit. But if a person is spending the night, even if a person's going to come, an adult's going to come in and they're just going to spend the whole day there because they're covering somebody for a shift for the day, they're going to spend the day in the campsite, they should be meeting these requirements. They need to have current youth protection from BSA, and they need to go through the background check. What I'm going to do is when I send out this Google form, it's very easy. You just fill out the name and social security number, date of birth. Actually, not the social security number, just the date of birth, name and date of birth of the individuals that are going to be staying. And we will take care of the process of running them through the background check. We submit a big list to DCJS, they run through it all, they send me back a memo that says everybody's clear. It works very, very simply if we get it done in time, okay, if we get it done ahead of time. If an adult leader or an adult comes to the office to check into camp, the first thing that we're going to do is we look them up on this register to make sure that they've been pre-cleared. If they haven't been pre-cleared, we have to turn them away, right? If we cannot get them cleared, then we have to turn them away. It is something that should be done ahead of time. Keep in mind, you show up on Sunday to check in, the government offices are not open on Sunday for that, oh, I'm sorry, we forgot, you know, for me to call DCGS and get that clearance. They're just not even open. So the earliest we can do it would be opening a business on Monday. So please make sure that this gets done ahead of time. It's really easy. This is why I'm suggesting blanket everybody, right? Everybody in your troop. It's not a bad information for you to have either, to run everybody through this background check from your unit. Take every parent, every adult, throw them all on the list. It doesn't take any extra effort for me to send them a spreadsheet with 1,000 names versus 500 names on it. And that way, there's no surprises. If somebody decides at the last minute that they want to come to camp, you've already cleared them because you took care of it in that big blanket sweep. So that applies to any adults that are going to come to camp. Any adult that is staying for more than 72 hours, and this doesn't necessarily have to be consecutive. So it's not like I come in for a day, then I go out to work, and then I come back in, and I go out to work. You know, if it totals up to 72 hours, then then an adult does need to be registered with the Boy Scouts of America, including the completed criminal background check that's associated with that. So that's a BSA regulation. That's not an US regulation. That's a Boy Scouts of America regulation for any activity that lasts longer than 72 hours. All adults have to be registered with BSA and go through the criminal background check. So if we don't have that information that they are registered, then basically at 72 hours, they would need to leave camp and not return for the rest of that week. Okay, a couple of questions in the chat there. Do I expect the Wednesday night parent night to continue? I don't know. As I sit here right now in February, I'm thinking it's unlikely. I think that the risk of having people, you know, an extra 100, 200 people coming into camp on Wednesday night, people that, you know, from a contact tracing standpoint, from a quarantining standpoint, from all these other reasons, it is unlikely. I'm not going to say absolutely not at this point, because again, these are the kinds of things I want to see where things are trending before we get to that point and see what the DOH and others have to say about that. But I would suggest that that will be unlikely and that our visitor policy might be more restrictive than it has been in the past, just because of COVID related reasons. And Rob's question about the 2019 health form is accepted. Correct, older versions are not accepted. Everybody needs to have a form that's been signed within the last year. So therefore, it should be a current form. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check, Rob. I don't know if there was a particular change in the 2019 edition versus the 2018. But everybody should be getting their physical within the last 12 months. And so the easiest thing to do is print it off of our website or print it off of the Scouting BSA, scouting.org website and take that with them to the doctor. I'm going to my doctor's next month and printing off my form and bringing it with them to do that. So, yep, to the question about the adults there, 2 minimum. you got 3 kids, you still get 2 minimum adults, 2 free adults. Anything from the minimum up to 16 kids, you get 2 free adults, and then 1 for every 8 thereafter. Okay, so that is kind of my official pitch, of information. As I said, there's some things that I know, some things that I think I have a feeling of where we're going to go, and then other things that we're going to find a little bit more about as we hear more from DOH and some of these other organizations. But at this point, I'd really like to turn it over to you and any questions. Yes, it's minimum of 2 free adults for each unit. Okay, minimum of 2 free adults for each unit that is coming to camp. Okay, and then for your 17th scout, that gets you up to 16 scouts. Your 17th scout gets you another free leader, right? And so on and so forth. Your 25th scout gets you another free leader. Yes, STEM week, we are still planning on week 6 is going to be our STEM week program. So for those that aren't familiar with that, STEM week means that we have the entire program that we offer the rest of the summer, but we add on some more. We will add on some additional merit badges and NOVA awards to the program for that. Jake, a question about staff going to get tested regularly. I don't know the answer to that yet. I don't know. I know that the governor, as I said, he mentioned that there was a testing protocol that will be coming for camps, but I don't know what that looks like yet. And so we'll be able to get to that. Question about, hold on, sorry, they're coming fast and furious now and they're moving too fast for me to keep up with them. Hold on one second, let me widen up my chat box here so I can read them. Let's see, NYLT week added rule. I don't know what that question means. Somebody, Jeff, if you could clarify, if you want to open up your mic, you can ask the question. What does added rule mean? I don't know. Jeff Schaefer had his question said NYLT week added rule. I don't know what that question means. If you want to clarify that either in the chat box or open up your mic, I'd be happy to answer that. Do we think we'll still be able to have Sunday and Wednesday campfires? I think probably we could probably do something with that, with some social distancing in place, making sure that units are, especially the Baden Powell campfire area. We got a lot of room on that hill. The staff likes to take advantage of how much space there is on that hill. We can spread people out. I may not be able to put everybody in the benches, but I think that we probably can still have the campfires. Again, any questions about testing, what the testing requirements are going to be, I'm going to have to pass off until I get more information from the governor's office and the DOH, whether that's for staff, participants, leaders, etc. We will have that information forthcoming. What's the policy for non-TRC units? Can out-of-council units come to summer camp? Yes. We've got out-of-council units that are signed up for camp. We've got them from as far away as Long Island and farther away as Maryland that are signed up. So we'd love to have you. The only thing that would prevent that is any kind of statewide restrictions on that, which, currently travel is such that you can travel amongst the states that are adjacent to New York. And so Pittsfield's not far away. So certainly. Current YPT says the parents can't share a tent with their child. Does this still hold true for camp? YPT is BSA wide. So yes, the YPT policy is that that youth are not to share tents with adults, even if they are family members. That's youth, that basically there cannot be more than a 2-year age difference between occupants of a tent amongst youth. Did we keep the same campsites and weeks from last year? The schedule is, you guys sent me your requests when we were pulling all this together in the fall. So let me actually speak to that point for a second, because, because we didn't have everybody signing up at camp like we normally do, where you all get to see the board right in front of you, see which sites have already been signed out, and kind of go and fill in your boxes around that. When Sandy collected your rollover information in the fall, when I reached out in November, December to get site information from the returning Rotary units, you all did it blind, right? You gave me your preferences, which the vast majority of the cases was same week, same site as last year. But there were some units that requested different weeks or different sites, mostly different weeks. And that did create a little bit of overlap, right? There were some situations where we had competing requests for sites. So there were a few situations where I had to make some decisions as far as, you know, trying to figure out who would keep the site and who would go to a different site. Weeks, nobody lost a week. Everybody was still in the same week that they had requested, but there were a few cases where we had to make some adjustments on the campsites just because of the dueling requests and the fact that some units asked to switch weeks and things like that, and that created a little bit of a downflow issue. But the full schedule, I mean, if there was a change, generally I reached out, but the full schedule of where everybody's placed is on the registration page of the camp website. I will say, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation on things as we have been welcoming the Wapamani units. Bear in mind that the Wapamani units were planning, and they had also begun to plan which weeks and campsites that they were going to for Wapamani before the decision was made to only operate one resident camp this year. And so I've been spending the better part of the last 2 months incorporating those units, welcoming them and working them into our existing schedule. And many of them were not able to get the week that they would have preferred because of the fact that we already had a lot of units that were signed up in certain weeks. Depending upon the size of the units that were coming in, we had to make some adjustments in some cases. I really appreciate their flexibility. And I know that there's still some other units that I'm working with to figure out what week and what site they were planning to attend. Part of the reason for that is Wapamani was scheduled to operate week 5 this year. We were not, because we were always scheduled to operate the Cub Scout resident camp that week. We did try for about 90 days. We kind of put it out there to the units, to Wapamani units especially, see if we could get enough units that were interested in coming to us week 5 so that we could operate that as a Scouts BSA week. In the end, we weren't able to get enough units interested in that specific week to make it work. So I am now working on putting those groups into other weeks. There may be still some cases, therefore, where I may be reaching out to let some units know I may need to move some troops around within a week. Nobody's going to lose their week, but there may need to be some movements around in campsites to accommodate, you know, a larger troop that needs one particular site or something like that. There may need to be some changes to that. So I appreciate your flexibility as we work through that. But anyway, you can see the full listing on the registration page of the website. Is there a nurse or other designated person on site for children who need medication? We have an EMT that will be on staff the entire season. Our ranger is also an EMT, so we have backup in that capacity there. EMTs by New York state law are not allowed to dispense medication, but we do hold the medications. And what that means is that typically we distribute the medications at meal times, because that's usually what works for the scouts for their schedules. So they would go see our EMT medical officer at those meal times, take their medication. It is documented. We make sure that we record every occurrence that the medication is taken. If a scout needs their medication on a different schedule, like, you know, right before bedtime, first thing in the morning, whatever the case may be, we make those arrangements as well. It's just up to the scout and the unit leadership to make sure that the scout gets to the health officer at that appointed time to make sure that they can take their medication. But yes, we certainly do that. If your troop was registered for Wapamani, or even if your troop was not registered for Wapamani, but you're still interested in signing up to visit us this summer, the best way to do that is to reach out directly to me. My email address is on the camp website. It's campdirector@rsrbsa.org. And if you look at the chart right now, you're going to see that there's only 3 empty campsites across the 5 weeks that we are operating. But that doesn't mean that I can't fit some more units into some of those weeks, particularly smaller units we can accommodate in shared campsites. So if you have not yet reached out, please do so, and we'll do so. We are not doing a printed brochure this season. So we're working more with the online, the digital resources here through the new website and videos and things like that. So I would suggest that, you know, in terms of send the video to your scouts, try to get them encouraged, engaged in, you know, that new, it's only a 1.5 minute long hype video, show it at your next Zoom meetings, you know, with the troop, and send them the information to the websites. If we go for 1 week in the summer and then go again for STEM week, is it still only $250 for the second week? Yes, the second week fee is $250. So it's full price for the first week, $250 for the second week, regardless of what the second week is. Could be week 3, could be week 6. Any thoughts on closing, not closing program areas? Not at the moment, that's, guidance. I really don't think that, I think we'll be in good shape in most program areas. Some areas may require some modifications to how they operate. I'm thinking especially the one that's pictured behind me might require a little bit of, that's our COPE high course for anybody that hasn't gotten a chance to check out our cool picture there. But there may be some protocols that might need to be adjusted there. There's some things in some of the program areas that we do need to think through how we're going to do things differently. How do we do swim checks on a dock and try to maintain some measure of social distancing? These are things that we're working through. The good thing is we're not the only scout camp in the country, and we're not the only camp in the country that's working through these issues. So we're going to use the best practices that are available to us. Again, Lee, there's no preference on in council, out of council, but there's not that many out of council units, and it's about, we do still have some space available in camp, so nobody's getting closed out of camp at this time. Should the CITs pay their deposit through the troop or pay directly to Rotary? So we're going to need to set that up in the. I will have to get back to you guys on exactly how we'll do that. Typically, we did the CIT payments separately and had to go through the office. We'll either do that or we'll set it up in the website so that those payments can be made through the office. What's the cost for a non-crossover scout who does not get the $100 deposit in by March 15th but pays in full by May 1st? So the payment and the late fee is based on the May payment date. So I'm going to ask for your help on this one, right? Because I know what that means is that what a lot of parents are going to hear is, I don't need to put any money in next month and I can just wait till May and put the money in. And the thing is that really, really is going to make things challenging for us if we have no idea how many kids are coming to camp. We are going to be making decisions about program. We're going to be making decisions about campsites. Like if all of a sudden a troop comes in, like a lot of you have given me numbers based on sort of COVID era expectations of how many scouts are coming. And then you're going to show them our awesome video and every kid's going to say, nope, we're coming to camp. The heck with COVID, we're all coming. And I've recruited 10 of my buddies from school to come to camp too. And all of a sudden, those two troops that I thought were going to fit in that one campsite, not going to fit anymore. And we need to make some adjustments. So I am begging you, please, to make sure that the deposits do come in for the scouts in that early time frame. We have tried to accommodate the hesitancy with that COVID related policy with regard to refunds, so that if the parents, if the family puts in the $100 and later on, they decide, we don't want to do this, they can get their money back. But we're asking for that commitment to us so that we can make the planning. We need to start planning food service. We need to start ordering program supplies. There's a lot of stuff that gets ordered and planned months before you step foot onto the property. And if we don't have that information, it really sets us back. Will the plan for opening that New York State is requiring to be filled out be available to parents or just New York State? Plan for opening that New York State is requiring to be filled out to be available to parents. We will, anything that we've got to do, I'll have to look at that. I'm not sure. I guess when I get the details from the DOH as to what we're expected to fill out, what kind of plans and whatnot is available, then we will look at that. Yes, there are still spots open to camp. Testing and quarantine requirements for travel right now. Will any requirements such as that be enforced by camp? Whatever requirements are in place at the time of camp, we will have to look at. I mean, I think that as part of our protocols, we'll probably be asking for, temperature checks prior to coming to camp. We're definitely going to be doing attestations and intakes. We always do the medical recheck when scouts arrive at camp anyway, with the checking the medical forms and checking the medications and things like that. That will absolutely include temperature checks. It will include the attestations that you're used to doing for literally everywhere you go these days. So we will have all those in place at that time. I can't speak to what the specific requirements are going to be just yet until I get the DOH information, right? New York is a little late on providing some of this information. They're early from where they were last year, so we're going to give them credit for that. They're improving. But until we get some more information from DOH, I'm going to have to put a lot of the specific requirements of what's going to be required ahead of time, quarantines, things like that. But obviously, if there are travel restrictions affecting New York State, that affects everybody in New York State. If there's travel restrictions affecting, out of state, coming in state, things like that, then we would have to follow those as well, just like any other business and any other group in the state would do. But I'm hopeful that, I mean, we're sitting here in February and things are trending nicely. Things are trending in a more positive direction. I'm certainly hopeful that by the time we get to July, that a lot of those will not be in place. Same thing, Ed, with the numbers that are in the lean-tos. You know, typically it's 4. You know, we may look to reduce that down to 2. You know, the lean-tos are usually pretty big, especially the one up in Spruce. Yeah, that was for you, Mike. The one in Spruce that got built 2 years ago could fit most units in one lean-to. So we're no problem social distancing in that one, but we'll take a look at that as we get into it there. Scholarships, that's the camperships that I referred to earlier. So the campership application will be available and it will be pushed out in the next couple of days. So we're just finalizing some information on the form, and that will be, I would expect that you will see that this week. And so it'll be on our website, it'll be on the council website, it'll be pushed out through social media, and I will also push it out to all of the units that I've got that are registered, that are on my camp contacts list. Any idea how masks will work at the waterfront? I don't think they're going to be wearing them while they're swimming, but beyond that, you know, we're working on that. Red Cross has got some information out through that. I know our aquatics committee just met about a week ago. Council Aquatics Committee met, and I think they were talking about some of those very issues. So we're working through those protocols, and we will have more information to come on that. Let's see. How do we get the sibling discount? There will be I believe there's going to be a code, a discount code that it'll enter when you're doing the registration. And you know, you're going to be entering in the code. So so Amelia, if you got a scout in a boy troop and a girl troop, or if it's all in the same troop, it doesn't matter. You'd just be entering in the code that says this is a sibling of another scout. Meals, one of the things that you know, as I said, will be different is going to be our meals situation, our dining services. I already mentioned that we will be doing cafeteria style, most likely, rather than the buffet style. We have begun looking at other accommodations that we're going to need to make. It is my expectation that we will be spreading people out, not just to the dining hall, but also the Grizz Pavilion outside the dining hall, which can accommodate a large number of people in a nice outside area. Some weeks, which are larger, we may need to do a little bit beyond that. But we're working on that. There's also the possibility, we're still working through all the potential ramifications of this, so I'm not giving you final answers on this yet. This is one of those questions that I will have more information in future meetings. But a possibility of stretching out meal times and having groups coming through, you know, rather than traditionally what we've done, everybody comes in, we do grace, everybody goes through the meals, we do a program, everybody leaves. In order to accommodate more space for more people in the dining hall, to be able to alternate tables or do whatever accommodations we need to make for distance in there, it may be more of just a rolling cafeteria style service where we have the meals open for a period of time and units come through, get their meals, sit and leave when they're done. And that way we can roll more people through the dining hall during that time. We just need to work out some logistics on that as far as how that affects program times, because that would extend the meal time, obviously. And so some meals that works better than others. Lunch, we've got a little bit of flexibility because of siesta. Breakfast is the tough one. We might have to start breakfast earlier in order to be able to accommodate something like that. So these are the conversations that we are having. Rihanna added in there, she was at the aquatics committee meeting, that they're certainly talking about that they will not be doing masks while swimming.
We don't want anyone to get waterboarded. Like, there's no way you can swim in a mask.
No, but you know, during instructional times on the beach, maybe we're gonna have to. Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have to work through those things, right? It's gonna be a factor. Who's taller, Brian Murray or Kyle Carney? It is Kyle Carney. But I'm much more handsome than he is. Not even close. But anyway, what program areas do we still need staff for? We have not yet made staff assignments and hiring, so I don't have an answer to that question. I would just say anybody that's interested in staff, please have them do that. I will be reaching out because of everything that's happened this year in terms of the merging of the programs into one, and the fact that we didn't have a staff interest log last year from camp like we normally do. The staff process started later than it normally would. Normally, the staff applications would have gone out from me in October. They didn't go out until basically December this year because of the fact that until December 17th, when the executive board made their decision, we didn't know whether we were operating a camp this year. So that means that that process has been delayed. We asked for the applications to come in by February 1st. So I'm beginning the process now, going through that. We'll be reaching out to new applicants very soon to schedule interviews. And then from there, we'll go into the hiring process. For any units, I got this question earlier in the week. If you've got a scout that has applied for CIT or staff, and you're not sure whether you should register them from camp with the troop or not, do not register them with the troop for camp at this time. Even if they don't get interviewed or they don't get hired until after that March 15th initial deadline, assume at this point that we may have a spot for them. And if that doesn't happen and they do want to still go to camp and you want to add them to the troop, you will be able to do so later and there will be no penalties for that. You can go ahead and add them in there. But rather than signing them up and then having to deal with refunds and figuring out all that kind of stuff, just go ahead and for the time being, assume that they probably will find an opportunity with us and we'll go from there. Yep, I can go back to the slide with the dates. So, and all of this is on the registration page for the for our camp website. So definitely check that out. Trying to get my chat box back up where I can see it. You know, the camp website, we really put a lot into that to try to make sure you have one-stop shopping, you have all that information there. Maybe I can actually show that. And it is a mobile-friendly website. It's got responsive design, so you can go in and view it whether you're on a computer or a mobile device. So this is the website there. There's the videos that I was talking about. This one's more of kind of the show it to the kids and get them excited about camp. It's about 1.5 minutes long, show it at a meeting. And then this one here is more about information. This is kind of like, this would be a good one to show your troop committee or your parents, like, you know, kind of walks you through the program, talks about some of the food and things like that that we do at camp. We've got our news and information here, information about the different programs that we offer at camp. So this is the one that you guys are probably most interested in right now. This is our registration page. And this, I think, answers your question, Bill. So you go to the registration page and you can see, get over here, the chart there. This is all the units that are confirmed as of this time. As I said, some of these, week 2 is closed. I'm really not able to make any accommodations of any additional units into week 2. As you can see, we've got like 6 campsites that are already doubled up. So I don't feel comfortable going beyond that with our total numbers and with the doubling up in those sites. We do have some space in some of these other ones. There's 3 sites available in week 1. There's a large site available in week 6, but then some of these sites can accommodate an additional unit. So there is room for us to put double up in some sites. So if you have not yet signed up for camp, if you have not yet signed up for camp and are interested in doing so, my email address is actually right there. You can just click on the link and send me an email. Let me know what troop you're with, what week or weeks you were thinking about, and the approximate number of scouts and leaders that you were thinking about bringing or that you expect to bring. And I will, when you're doubling up sites and trying to do all this stuff, it's better if a person does it than the website trying to figure all that out, the registration module on the website. So just reach out to me, let me know what you're thinking about bringing, and I can tell you kind of where the options are for those weeks. As I said, there's the link to the camp planning guide. It's a full document here. If you haven't been to Rotary before, I'd suggest you check it out. And it's got all sorts of stuff about, again, the registration information that we've talked about, refund policies, schedules, information about, policies at camp and things like that, as well as our program. All of that is in the family planning guide there. Fee information is all laid out here. The campership, this will be updated in the next couple of days with the link to the campership application, the information about adult leader fees and provisional camping. All of that is available right there. You can also check out, like if you go here to the Scouts BSA page, you can check out all of the different program areas we offer. And that includes information about each of the merit badges with links to the requirements of the Scouting's website, different awards and things that we offer at each of those program areas. So there's lots in here. My contact information is available here throughout. You can find where to find us on social media. We have information about our food services and health and safety. The health and safety stuff, the health and safety page will have more COVID related information coming as we finalize more of those protocols. At the moment, it is talking more about the general camp, like the question before about medication and health officer check-ins and things like that. That information is on there, but there will be more COVID related information coming. So all of that is going to be coming. Cub Scout resident camp information will be coming. That'll be forthcoming as well. We just don't have that for you here tonight. We wanted to keep this focused on the Scouts BSA there. The third week is, the question about the third week is the Cub Scout Day Camp. Okay, so that is July 19th to the 23rd, and that will be happening concurrently while Scouts BSA camp is going on. So the day camp will have their space, and the Scouts BSA camp will be running the rest of the camp there. The week 5 is the resident camp for Cub Scouts, and that will run from Sunday through Wednesday afternoon. So Sunday afternoon to Wednesday afternoon, August 1st through 4th. I believe I have those dates right. That will be the time for the resident camp. So we do have 2 Cub Scout programs coming to us this year. Okay. Other questions? Question about, could we tuck in some troops around the Cub resident camp? We did talk about that idea. It's really not very feasible to be able to offer both programs simultaneously. The thing about the day camp, it's run by a different staff that comes in for the week and is only there during the daytime and is going to be set up in a particular area where they will be able to run things for themselves. The resident camp is going to be run by our same staff that's running the Scouts BSA program the rest of the season. And it would be we couldn't figure out a really good way to be able to operate both the Cub resident and Scouts BSA resident simultaneously. You basically would either be emphasizing one or the other. And so, especially in common areas like the dining hall and things like that, like for example, the dining hall meals, you're either going to have like a really fun cubby kind of world going on inside your dining hall where the Scouts BSA kids come in are like, what's all this stuff? Or you're going to have an older setting for the dining hall where the Cubs don't feel like they're really getting their full program. So we had to make the decision to go to one or the other for that. Okay, other questions? Man, we are just about an hour on the dot. That was perfect. Like that was great. Other questions? All right. If there's anything that we didn't get to tonight that you have questions about, certainly feel free to reach out. Email works best for me because during the day I am a teacher, so I'm not always accessible by phone. So shoot me an email anytime. Provo Scouts, signing them up online right now. You know what? I got to double check and see if they set it up for Provos in the online registration at the moment. I'm not sure about that, John, but you should be able to do that soon if it's not set up at the moment. So I will look into that. But certainly, if you have any other questions that didn't get addressed tonight, shoot me an email. Be happy to answer those for you. If you are not signed up for camp and you'd like to be, same thing, shoot me an email. If you are a Wapamity unit that rolled over your deposit in the fall, expecting that you're being able to go back to Wapamity this summer, that money is still on account, and we can simply just transfer that account, that money over to us, and you'll be all set for that. If you weren't at Wapamity or you didn't roll over the money or whatnot, it's just a $250 deposit to get you on the board, and then you've got the camper deposits due on March 15th. The CIT application form is the same as the staff application form, and that is available. If you go to the About Us page here, camp staff, you see we were very bright and shiny 2 years ago. You can see that, and they can just click here or here. It's the exact same link. It's the same application in either spot, but they go in there, and there's a Google form version of the camp staff application that they can fill out, and we'll go from there. All right. As I said, we will keep doing these throughout the spring to keep you in the loop as things change. To some of the questions that you guys had that I wasn't able to answer tonight, we will get to those. We'll get you those answers, and we'll update the website, we'll update social media as appropriate, and we will have another meeting. Most likely the next one will be March 22nd, so 1 month from today. But if there's any reason to make adjustments to that based on new information that comes our way, I'm going to kind of try and keep it a little bit flexible so that we can adjust to those. And for anybody that couldn't make the meeting tonight, everything here has been recorded, and I'm going to be posting it up on the camp YouTube page. So you can, if you really want to watch it again, or you can send it to other folks, parents, committee members, what have you, that are interested in the information. All right. Thank you. This was an awesome turnout tonight. Really appreciate you guys all turning out. And I really can't wait to see all of you at camp again this summer. That last summer was boring. We want to get everybody back out into the camp. All right. Thanks a lot, folks. We will see you at camp.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.